Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In this episode, I'm going to share the key astrological transits and dates for late 2025 for the months of October through December. You'll want to stay tuned to hear when the next Mercury retrograde is a-coming. Well, we made it through September's apocalyptic cycle. And the planet Earth is still buzzing along. An asteroid didn't hit the planet. A spaceship didn't zap us. And as far as I know, the rapture didn't happen. But you may know better than I. September was a cluster of a month with ecliptic mischief and the Sun-Mercury South Node combustion mid-month, which created havoc. The good news is we're on the other side and slide into the last quarter of the year, hopefully with grace and ease. I'm going to share the major astrological information month by month for this last quarter, including the full moons and new moons for October through December, as well as planetary retrogrades and other major transits. Then I'll break it down for you and give more information on what to expect each month. So let's start with October. October, here are the dates. On the 6th is the Aries full moon. From October 6th to the 29th, Mercury transits Scorpio. On October 13th, Pluto goes direct in Aquarius. From October 13th through November 6th, Venus transits Libra. On October 21st, Libra new moon shines in. On October 22nd, Neptune retrogrades back into Pisces, which is the same day that the Sun enters Scorpio. And then on 10/29, Mercury transits into Sagittarius until November 18th. For the month of November, this is probably the most active astrological month at the end of 2025 for this last quarter because there's a Mercury retrograde from November 9th through the 29th. And it's a double whammy because it starts in Sagittarius from November 9th through November 18th, and then flashes back to Scorpio from the 18th through the 29th of November. We also have Jupiter going retrograde in November from 11/11 through March 11th, 2026. From November 4th to December 15th, Mars transits Sagittarius. On November 5th, we have a full moon in Taurus while the Sun is in Scorpio. On November 6th through December 7th, Venus transits Scorpio. November 18th, Mercury slides retrograde back into Scorpio. On the 20th, it's the Scorpio new moon. On November 21st, the Sun enters Sagittarius. On the 27th of November, Saturn goes direct in Pisces. Thank you. I give thanks on Thanksgiving for Saturn transiting direct. And then on the 29th, Mercury goes direct. So you can see November is going to be the busiest month. More breakdown later in the episode. And then let's get through December's transits. December 2025, we have the Gemini full moon on December 4th. On December 10th, Neptune goes direct in the sign Pisces. On the 11th of December, Mercury transits into Sagittarius. On the 15th, Mars transits into Capricorn. December 19th is a Sag new moon, just in time for the winter solstice arriving on December 21st when the Sun enters Capricorn. And on Christmas Eve, 12/24, Venus transits Capricorn. So it's kind of a crazy time. We can see that we have a more mellow month in October, and then it gets a little wild again in November, and then we have the integration during the time in December to get ready to launch into the new year. So let's look at what's happening in October. Tag, you're it, Libra, and Aries in October. The first major astro event in October 2025 is the full moon in Aries on the 6th, which will bring a focus on personal independence and relationships. Which relationships are supportive and which are depleting? Who can you depend on and who just shows up for the good times? Yeehaw! Aries and Libra will feel this full moon strongly, as well as Capricorn and Cancer, the other mutable signs. This moon encourages you to step into your own power. Let go of any fear around asserting your individuality and really get clear about pursuing your goals. Remember, Mercury's not retrograde until November. You may actually feel the fiery surge of confidence and ambition. In fact, we're all going to feel an upsurge after September, where things were basically occluded by the eclipses. So things weren't really clear and not being represented as they are. But we have to be careful with that Aries new moon in early October not to rush into things impulsively. Really align with what's your greater purpose and how that figures in with how you identify. We're reflecting on things such as self-assertion, independence, leadership, courage. The full moon in October is about how to assert yourself, stand in your truth, and honor your individuality. I think in our current times, it's really about pulling away from all the noise out there and really coming into what's important to you and not being influenced by all the media, other people, or the narratives flying around. Because the Aries moon is opposing the sun in Libra, it's about relationship balance. It is a culmination and breakthrough full moon, peak of energy. It's not eclipse. We're going to feel the full power as this Aries moon, which is the hunter moon, brings a full clarity about relationship, partner, and personal paths. So think about what was happening back with the Aries new moon on March 29, 2025. That was the new moon in Aries, and then in October on the 6th is the full moon. So something is coming full circle that got initiated at the end of March. Think about that, or what lessons were you learning then? We have to be sort of prudent because Aries is ruled by Mars, so people can be impulsive. There can be heightened emotions, anger, confrontations. There could be conflicts. People might be releasing that anger they've been suppressing. It kind of got started in the ecliptic mix in September. So there could be more anger surfacing than normal. So just be cool. But my advice with Aries is to go work it out. Walk, move, and run your energy so that it won't come out through the mind or the emotions. So then right after the moon, Pluto pulses direct in Aquarius on October 13th, giving us the green light to move forward with progressive ideas, group associations, and for planning your future. Pluto stations direct at 2 degrees Aquarius after being retrograde since May 5th, 2025. So if you're an early Aquarius, you get your groove back. Also, if you're early air sign, such as Libra or Gemini, you're going to get some nice energy behind you to complete things. Aquarius energy, remember, is future-oriented, inventive, and focused on equality. It's all about networking with like-minded people. And if I win, we all win. So Pluto is going to bring those like-minded people together for a cause, and power to the people, united. Aquarius is about the group. The opposite sign, Leo, is about the leaders. So we'll see some people rising up, like what happened in Nepal in September, where the government was overthrown by the Gen Z people because I guess they had their social media turned off by the government. So that's a lesson to learn from. You get the group, especially youngsters, united with a cause. Give us our MTV. Remember that in the 80s? Give us our Facebook. Well, they don't like Facebook. Give us our TikTok back. and you'll have a revolution. So Pluto in Aquarius is about transforming society through technology, such as social media, artificial intelligence, group dynamics. Pluto in Aquarius wants social justice, and it's revolutionary. So no more putting baby in a corner. People are going to stand up, stand up, stand up for their rights. And then we move forward in October, and there's a new moon in Libra on October 21st, 2025 at 28 degrees Libra. This is very significant. The eclipse moon in September was at 29 degrees Virgo. So we're noticing these full moons falling at the end. There are things coming into culmination, or we're wrapping up energies. This one is more about relationship, Libra. So it's time to focus on relationships, balance, and harmony, and maybe wrap up some relationships. The new moon at 28 degrees Libra is a powerful time for rebalancing your relationships and setting new intentions, because it is a full moon. So where do you want more harmony? Where do you want more beauty, more aesthetically pleasing environments, peace, harmony, balance? Imagine all the people living life in peace. That's the new moon in Libra. It's an opportunity for healing, especially where you may have felt wounded in your sense of self and how you relate to others. There's also aspects at this new moon with Chiron, the wounded healer teacher, Pluto, transformative agent, and the North Node. So we can go into growth, emotional healing through relationship. Use that new moon to set your intentions about balancing your life and living a more peaceful existence. Then on October 22nd, Neptune retrogrades in Pisces. It had been in Aries for the last months since the end of March of 2025. So now it retrogrades back into Pisces for its swan song until December 2025. So what will happen when Neptune retrogrades in Pisces? It's going to bring a shift in the collective unconscious, more introspection into spiritual or escapist tendencies individually. It's a good time to reevaluate your dreams, creative projects, and idealistic pursuits. You might find yourself revisiting past illusions or revising your vision for the future. Also, we're going to see people in power and their delusions and other type of delusions and illusions and smokescreens, and how people avoid the reality of what is. So pay attention to the Neptune retrograde cycle. It's not that long. It's only a couple months, but we'll see people trying to escape and go back into their own little world of falsehood and illusion. So that's October 2025. October has a few powerful highlights, but it is the calmer month in the eye of the storm between September 2025 and November 2025. September's ecliptic mix of chaotic collective cray-cray, divisiveness, and surprises kept us on our toes, also setting a precursor of what may unfold in these coming months of eclipse fallout, October, November, and December. And then November may wreak retrograde realignment as both Mercury and Jupiter backtrack within days of each other, providing the big astrological challenges during the Scorpionic season. The big astro newsflash of November 2025 is a Mercury retrograde cycle that spans two signs, Sagittarius and Scorpio. But before the retrogrades, there are planetary transits and a full moon in Taurus that we need to be aware of, because it will shift energies in preparation for the retrograde cycles. Mars also enters Sagittarius early in the month on November 4th, bringing increased energy, boldness, desire for expansion, and even restlessness. Then Venus moves into Scorpio in early November, deepening relationship dynamics, increasing intensity and passion, but also perhaps bringing up concern about finances, but allowing for a transformation in love and finances. Venus goes from her home court of balanced and lovely Libra to slink into slutty
Ooh
Scorpio.
la la.
Relationships can get down and dirty. Money and sex are on everyone's agenda. The full moon in Taurus arrives on November 5th, which does bring money to everybody's mind. There could be revelations about the economy, which can be discouraging. So we're looking at how can we get our financial house in order as we launch into 2026. So Taurus in general, when there's a full moon there, it's about grounding and stabilizing. However, the sun is in Scorpio, which is anything but stable. Scorpio forces transformation and going deeper and deeper, while Taurus wants comfort, material security, values, pleasure, and the physical senses aroused. So there can be tension at this full moon between the sun in Scorpio and the moon in Taurus. Taurus has that desire for stability, comfort, and what is tangible. And then Scorpio forces transformation, intensity, possibly crisis, and reveals what's hidden. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes up in the news at the full moon in Scorpio. So remember, there's 2 days leading up, the 3rd and 4th in November. Then the 5th is the exact Scorpio, Taurus, full moon alignment. And the 6th and 7th will distribute. So things regarding what do we value, not just material, but emotionally and spiritually. Scorpio's influence can bring up buried fears or desires, and Taurus wants stability. And so Scorpio moves towards intensity and transformation. Taurus wants attachment. So we have to look at, do we have to release habits, relationships in order to have greater peace, or do we have to look at ways to feel more secure? It's going to be a challenging moon leading right into the Mercury retrograde, which happens on November 9th through the 29th. It starts in Sag and goes back into Scorpio. So remember, with Mercury retrograde, communication, travel, contracts,
No,
negotiations,
I don't think so.
electronics, tech, software glitches. Sagittarius first will bring up issues with travel probably, and that's from the 9th to the 18th in November. Travel, communications, connecting with those in foreign countries. If you have to for business, it may be harder. And then when it goes back into Scorpio from November 18th to 29th, it's going to get much more subconscious, going into emotional content and what's hidden. So as it backtracks into Scorpio, topics related to intimacy, secrets, buried truths, and psychological issues may surface. And blasts from the past, as always. So people have to watch during Mercury retrograde that they promise something they can't really deliver. They're going to have to not be over exuberant or over abundant in their thinking. And there can also be misunderstandings about beliefs, religion, ethics, especially when it's in Sagittarius from the 9th to the 18th. And then when it goes back into Scorpio, the 18th to 29th, people might be really moody and there's undercurrents. And it could be uncomfortable with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, which, by the way, is going to happen over the big U.S. holiday of Thanksgiving. So family dynamics will be more dysfunctional than normal with a Scorpio retrograde through Thanksgiving. And then we have Jupiter retrograde, speaking of family, and Cancer, sign of family, from November 11th, 2025 to March 11th, 2026. That's 5 months of Jupiter retrograde. So Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, the usual energies of growth, expansion, optimism, and abundance are going to be turned inward. And Cancer roles the home, family, emotional security, roots, past conditioning. So between a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, a money sign, and then another sign of security, Cancer, Jupiter retrograde, I think November is gearing up to have some cautionary energies about the economy and about money and about our future financially. So forewarned is forearmed. That's what we do here on Cosmic Scene. Beliefs and philosophies will also be triggered, things that people hold dear. People have to watch for overindulging. So, don't just feed your face because you're not feeling well, because Cancer wants comfort, and that's where the subconscious patterns come up, and just try to stuff the emotions. So be aware of that, especially with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio at the same time. Family dynamics, well, yeah, they're going to be all over the place. And it's an opportunity to heal family wounds or ancestral patterns, heal that DNA, fix up your domestic life, inner security and outer security, and hold some boundaries, because others may be seeping out and just being needy. So just get ready. So when we look at Mercury and Jupiter retrograde together during most of November, there's a really strong theme of turning in, reevaluation around emotional values and belief systems, and basically reworking the actual daily life that connects us, i.e. our home and family. And then Mercury is retrograding through Sagittarius into Scorpio. Some of these themes around belief, faith, philosophy, adventure, truth will be more personal. It's not ideas. It's like, what do you resonate with emotionally? And then we have the feeling tone of Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. You got to feel it to heal it. So people might be a little bit more prickly with Jupiter and Cancer. So we also have the moons happening in November. We've got the Taurus. We talked about the Taurus full moon, but we also have a new moon in Scorpio on November 19th, which is all about new beginnings, intimacy, transformation. It's a new moon. It's time to seed intention. Good money magic time, that moon in Scorpio. So resources, it's a good time to deep emotional work. Again, that's on the 19th of November, right during those retrograde cycles. Scorpio's all about what's hidden beneath the surface, secrets, power, shadow material. This new moon can bring to light things you've been suppressing in yourself and relationships. You need to be very honest and transparent in facing uncomfortable truths. So we're being asked to transform, rebirth ourselves, purge. And Scorpio rules endings so that new beginnings can happen. It's very subconscious. It's like, really do your healing. No spiritual bypass. And then there's going to be issues with shared resources, intimacy, trust, and power. So relationships will be tested. Who holds power in a relationship? What's happening? All kinds of things are going to come up. Nothing will be hidden away from Scorpio's gaze. So with both the full moon and new moon in Taurus and Scorpio, it's going to amplify issues around values, security, intimacy, transformation. So get ready. That's November. Doesn't it sound like fun? More in the November Astro Update coming at the beginning of November 2025. Hey, Cosmic Scene listeners, Jill Jardine here, and I've got something out of this world to share with you. Introducing the Cosmic Tower, a revolutionary energy harmonizing device designed to uplift your space, restore vitality, and bring coherence to your life. It's like plugging into the cosmos right from your living room. These towers are transforming homes, clearing EMFs, and awakening higher frequencies. And now you can experience it for yourself. I recently received my very own Cosmic Tower, and the experience has been truly magical. I've been feeling drained from work with physical pain flaring up, but within 2 hours of setting up the tower, my energy returned, my spirit lifted, and I felt ready for life again. I am so excited to be living with the Cosmic Tower and want you to learn more about it too. So check out thewellnessenterprise.com and tap into the frequency of the future. And guess what? If you use the code COSMIC10, that's capital COSMIC, all capitals, 10, Cosmic 10 at checkout for 10% off your own cosmic power. Okay, now let's get to December 2025, and the highlights include a Gemini super full moon on December 4th, 2025, and Neptune will go direct on December 10th in Pisces. And then we have a new moon on December 19th, 2025 in Sagittarius. Again, late degrees, wrapping up a cycle. Phew, we are out of the Mercury retrograde cycle by the month of December's onset.
Hallelujah!
But still feeling the fallout after that Mercury retrograde during Thanksgiving. Mercury moves from sly Scorpio into celebratory Sag just in time for the festivities of December, the holidays. December will be a month of integration, not just from Mercury retrograde cycle, but from a whole year of challenging and changing astrology. We had the experimentation of all the outer planets in fire and air for a few months during June through September 2025, when Pluto was transiting Aquarius, harmonizing with Uranus and Gemini, while Saturn and Neptune tested the fires of initiation in Aries. How'd that go for you? Because guess what? We have a few months in the beginning of 2026 till it all comes back, and then you have to make your choices wisely in 2026. So use December 2025 to really celebrate and honor this year of changeability and intensity. So let's look at that full moon on December 4th. In the sign of Gemini, it's going to be very social. It's going to light up areas such as communication, community, media. Might be a little lighter touch because it's Gemini. So our minds get online. We think about all kinds of things we want to do in the new year. Gemini is immutable, an Aries sign. So people are going to be more communicative, perhaps social, express what they need with clarity. And Mercury has popped out of retrograde. There can still be a shadow that can bring some confusion, but use the early month to really clean up your communications and relationships and go for clarity. Then we have the new moon in Sagittarius on December 19th, and it's at a late degree, 28 degrees. So again, it's bringing something to completion or culmination and thinking about it is a new moon. So plant seeds, especially in the areas of higher knowledge, those travels you want to take in 2026 and beyond, thinking about philosophies and looking at things like foreign cultures. What classes do you want to take? What kind of trainings? What esoteric subject do you want to study? Languages. It's great for languages, Sagittarius. Because it is later in Sagittarius, there may be also a revisiting of a theme from earlier in the month or in the year. And then we have Neptune turning direct, which will help us take our dreams and spiritual, psychic, and creative energies and ground them. Maybe they were more internalized or they were not formulated well. As Neptune goes direct on the 10th of December, we can start really integrating that spiritual side of us. And if we were living an illusion personally or collectively, we're going to see that start popping or dissolving. And then there's going to be a trine at that same time with Jupiter and Saturn, bringing in big dreams and a practical structure, manifesting ideals in a grounded way. And so then December is very interesting because we're going to have the levity of the Gemini full moon socialization in early month, but then Sagittarius is kind of a deeper energy. So there's a push-pull between wanting easy breezy light and then wanting the deeper connection. So stay in the middle lane and do a little bit of both and really celebrate this holiday season and the end of a wild ride that we all were on in 2025. So because December's all about releasing what no longer serves, clarifying, wrapping up things. Mercury's going to be out of retrograde, Neptune stations direct, and the new moon at the end of the month. It's an opportunity to finalize what no longer serves, say bye-bye, and then get really clear what you want to bring into 2026 and set your intentions for the new year. And the astrology is on your side. Nothing's being eclipsed, and there's not a Mercury retrograde. So December is going to be a very powerful month for framing your future. The whole caveat, though, for the end of 2025, October to December, put on your seatbelt. It's going to go by really fast, even that retrograde month of November, only because there'll be a lot of internal work, which will probably take you out of your normal time-space continuum. And then you'll be launched at the end of the year, getting ready to be on top of things at the beginning of 2026. I hope you enjoyed this episode on the planetary transits of October through December 2025, sending cosmic currents from late 2025 into a whole new year, 2026. Ride the waves and cosmic currents coming from Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine and the quantum field. Stop!